We are live, gentlemen. Thursday, talking sports with the 12th man. Look at Gary's got his wine glass. I love it, my guy.
Wearing the Cincinnati Reds. JQ will be proud.
That's what I was just saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary has a connect. We got to get Gary's connect, man, because he gets some amazing memorabilia he was telling me, and yeah, that's good to see, man. So he was even shockingly talking about wearing a Drew Brees jersey, but he couldn't find it. So I'm like, hey, that's okay, man. If you can't find it, Gary, that's okay, man.
If it's a Saints Drew Brees jersey, you got to find it. If it's a Chargers Drew Brees jersey, you can leave it where it is.
You mean why would that be, Rob? It's the same person.
Huh?
It's the same person.
It's about the team, man. It's about the team where he had the most success in his career.
Here we go. We're having a good time. I see Rob is representing the Atlanta Braves, so appreciate you, man. So that's what's happening.
I don't hate everything in Atlanta, just the Falcons and the Bulldogs.
You know what?
I don't hate it.
Yeah, but no.
Feelings mutual, man. How about that, man?
No. I root for the Braves, except when they play the Yankees, of course.
Understood, man. Back in the day, this is going to date me, but whenever a group called Tribe Called Quest, they're like coming with more hits than the Braves and the Yankees. I used to love that kind of like, you know, the Yankee side and then the Braves side. So that was some good stuff too. So, I don't hate the Yankees. I'm still upset with the Knicks right now. So we're going to come back around. Maybe I'll catch myself in a quick second, but appreciate Dude giving us a shout out. Yeah, we're starting early, man. So, the game.
I'm pulling for the Knicks.
Okay. But it should be interesting. It's right now.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who wins in the East.
Yeah. Gary, you said it right.
The championship is being played right now.
There it is.
Yeah, there could be some truth to that. I think the only thing that could work in the East's favor is if, let's say, Knicks win this series in 5 and the Spurs and the Thunder just beat each other for 7 games, right? Mm-hmm. That could be the only thing that could work. And, I don't think the Knicks are going to be a cakewalk in the finals either because, even though they didn't come back the other night, they have been playing some really incredible basketball.
Yeah.
In the last,
watching these last 4 teams, I'll be surprised if there's in the finals, no matter who's in there, if it's the Spurs or if it's OKC, even as good as the Knicks have been playing, I'll be surprised if they get a win.
They'll get a win, I think, man. I think the Knicks are battle tested. I think right now, that comeback was pretty spectacular too. Even though
what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of back in the early '90s when whoever won from the 49ers or the Cowboys, going to win the Super Bowl. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
In basketball.
We thought that the Knicks had so much time off they would be tested, and then the way that the Cavs just kind of blew through manhandled the Pistons, and you're like, oh man, maybe the Knicks are going to be little rusty, but they definitely came out, and Jalen Brunson just pretty much abused James Harden. But that's a whole other conversation. We'll get this party started here.
I think in order for the Cavs to have some success the rest of this series, they got to reduce James Harden's minutes.
There it is.
I know that's tough because, he does still bring some contributions on the offensive end.
Yeah.
But I think they need to reduce Harden's minutes. I think they'll get better production at the point and defensively with Dennis Schroeder than James Harden right now, right?
Yeah.
Because, you look at this Cavs roster, they got a talented roster, right? When you look at Mobley, when you look at Jared Allen, and when you look at Donovan Mitchell, and then you look at the shooters they can bring in the game, and Strus and Merrill and things of that nature. But I think James Harden, man, he was just a huge liability in that game, right?
Huge liability.
Yes. Yeah, huge liability in that game. And I feel like they got to reduce his minutes if they're going to have any success going forward in this series for sure.
Psychologically, I think the Knicks got it, man, because you're down that many points. You thought you were going to coast, man. That's just not a good look. You're pretty much toast, as Kerry said.
Right? Because whenever you lose a lead of 22 points, that's very deflating, right? So, how are the Cavs going to come out and respond on tonight after blowing that kind of a lead? You got to think the Knicks got the momentum right now.
There it is. Good stuff. We're going to go around the horn really quickly. I know we're doing this quick Thursday night show. Just everyone's schedules have been a little crazy, so we appreciate everyone that's joining in. And we're going to quickly throw out some ways to follow us. I'm going to do a quick check-in with the fellas, and we'll get this party started. Obviously, follow us on Twitter X at the number 12, THMAN Sports. We are on Facebook, which you're watching us Facebook Live, which is Talking Sports, the 12th Man. If you put in 12th Man Sports, and a little crawl shows that. And then on YouTube at another 12th Man Sports. I'm going to throw the quick opening to Mr. Gary, so you don't have to follow any asparagus talk. But Gary, how you feeling this episode?
Hey, you know what? I'm feeling good. I heard some news today that I want to bring up. Kyle Busch.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know,
Yeah.
a NASCAR driver passed away, 41 years of age. He was in the hospital for some sort of illness. So, you know, here's a guy that's, you know, his life is at 200 miles an hour, and 41 years old, he's gone, you know, and not in a tragic, you know, race, but by, I don't know exactly what it is, some sort of an illness that
yeah, he was hospitalized, yeah.
But 41 years old, Kyle Busch, you know, my heart goes out to the family, you know, rest in peace.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's a tough call. Yeah, pretty shocking. We saw that as we were jumping on the show too. Rob, anything else you want to kind of talk about, man? Just a quick little check-in, everything like that, sir.
Yeah, you know, I echo Gary's statement, and you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to Kyle Busch and his family, and just a reminder for all of us here on the show and all of those who are watching. Right, you got to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family, enjoy your time with friends. You know, taking care of your health is extremely important, right? But enjoy life, enjoy the people around you. You know, don't, you know, if there's anything you want to do, don't put it off. And, you know, get out, travel, enjoy life, have a nice meal. Mm-hmm. Relationships, those are extremely important, man. Don't take any of those kind of things for granted. And yes, I did have asparagus for my lunch today. So with some jerk chicken and some purple potatoes.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate that, man. I had a feeling I was going to come back around, man. So anyway,
you brought it up, so I had to talk about it.
Of course, yeah, that was on me. America, I'm sorry about that. You know, anyway, it's all good. Let's kind of talk about, you know, the first topic, which is the NFL teams what NFL teams will have a top 5 offense this season, and you know, I'm sure I don't have this in any particular order. I'm just kind of basing this on kind of statistics and kind of some things as far as some additions, and we'll go into some deep dives as far as what teams had good off seasons. And I'm just going to keep things consistent. Obviously, we saw a note about Matthew Stafford signed that 1-year extension, so I got the Rams as far as the top offense. I got the Detroit Lions. Again, I was still interesting as far as the changes that they made to their offense, you know, but you know, they just have so many weapons, and Matt Stafford coming back and everything, Jahmyr Gibbs. I have the Cowboys, Gary, as far as, you know, just what's happening with Dak Prescott. The Bills added, you know, obviously DJ Moore, a great addition to a pretty good offense. That was a good running offense with Josh Allen, and they're adding some weapons. And I got the Bengals, you know, rounding it out as far as just, you know, Joe Burrow. You know, obviously, I can see his name, Jamar Chase and whatnot. I've got some asterisks, right? And asterisks could be like, I've got the Bears with Caleb Williams, obviously. His ascent has been amazing. And I've got some 2 question marks. You know, you may want to say the Seahawks as far as what's happening with, you know, Sam Darnold. I do wonder how much they'll lose with Kubiak leaving to go to the Vegas Raiders. So I'm not sure about that. And I also have the Redskins as well, because I'm not sure what's going to happen with Jaden Daniels, right, as far as that too. So I'm kind of, those are some teams I have an eye on as far as offense. And, you know, there's going to be some situations too. Rob, I got your guy, you know, Tyler Show, as far as a second-year quarterback that can make a comeback. So Saints, I'm looking at them. Falcons, I'm looking at them as far as what's happening to quarterbacks. So there's some interesting plays, but right now those are kind of my top teams. And then the Vikings, I'm not sure what's going to happen with Kyler Murray too. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson, but you don't know how different quarterbacks can be inserted in the health of Patrick Mahomes. So there's a couple teams that you have some question marks about. So anyway, I know those are kind of the top 5, and I'm a little extra, but those are my thoughts, if you will.
Yeah, it's a good one. So, and a lot of the same teams that I have as well. I think one team we got to consider too is the Denver Broncos, and the reason why the big trade that they acquired with Jalen Waddle as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So you look at their wide receiver room, their offensive line, tight end position, Bo Nix as well, their running game, Sean Payton influence. I think they're a team to watch. And you touched on the Rams. I agree with that. And the Matthew Stafford, their receiving core, Kyron Williams at the running back position. The Bengals for sure, right? The big question mark for the Bengals has been their defense, right? And can they stay healthy? But when they're healthy offensively, they're loaded, right? And you even saw them put up some huge production numbers when Flacco was in the game last year, right?
Yep.
When you look at their wide receiver, the tandem of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins is one of the best in the league, right? And then when you add Joe Burrow, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the game when he's healthy. I think another team to watch this year is the 49ers. That Mike Shanahan influence, adding Mike Evans, who I still think has something left in the tank. So adding him to the mix in that offense with George Kittle in that running game with McCaffrey as well. I like the addition with Buffalo as well. And getting the wide receiver from the Bears.
Yep.
And then just having Josh Allen in that running game too with Cook as well. They did lose David Edwards, one of their best offensive linemen. So let's see, how that affects them or if it doesn't affect them, right? And then, you talked about the Cowboys too. I like, the Cowboys also have a great wide receiver tandem when they're healthy.
Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, yep.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, absolutely. So, and then, Dak played outstanding on last year. So those are the 6 teams that kind of come to mind for me from an offensive perspective.
Well, I also have the same teams. I've got Chicago at 6.
Nice, yeah.
I've got 49ers at 6. I think those are 2 teams that have the potential of, being a top 5 team. We'll see how Chicago plays. We'll see how the Niners play. They both are well coached. The kid in Chicago, he's kind of got the it factor,
Yeah, Caleb Williams. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that said, we'll see if that's still. It seems like he's got the idea that if I get the ball at the end of the game, I can go down there and I can do something with it. So,
and that's what about losing DJ Moore though? How much do we think?
Yeah, DJ Moore is going to hurt them too, for sure. That's a huge loss. But that's why, like I said, I think they're kind of like a little lower in my book. But they're definitely, like you said, Gary, kind of have an eye. But keep going, sir.
But I think those 2 teams, the top 5 are the same as what you guys have. At 6, I've got the 6, and at 6, I've got the Niners and the and Chicago. They're about the same in my pecking order for that.
Yeah, it's a little tough because obviously you got some more film on certain things, but obviously to have a great offensive mind that Caleb Williams has with I can't think of the coach's name. I think he came from I'm losing my mind, but that was a great pickup for them, and so they're going to keep getting better. Ben Johnson is going to keep getting better with that too. So there's some question marks. You're kind of moving pieces around, and you like consistency, right? So that's what you're looking for as far as those offenses. Let's move a little bit over to our second topic, which is going to talk about some second-year QBs that will have a breakout season. And I always want to do a quick asterisk on this because sometimes, you can have a sophomore slump whenever teams get film on you. But I do like, there's just the trajectory is going up for a couple of these, these quarterbacks. I'm going to show some love. I'm curious to see what's happening to Jackson Dart with the Giants. Obviously having, Jim Harbaugh there is going to be great as far as John Harbaugh, is going to be there to see what he does with that offense, right? Cam Ward, I have him down as far as an interesting, you saw a lot of his talents. And so what's going to happen whenever Robert Saleh gets there? Does he kind of try to more weapons? The hated Saints, I do have to give them some love and show for Tyler Show. I think I'm kind of curious how he's going to do some things in his year. I don't know if he's second year Rob too, but I'm kind of curious as far as that too. But those are my thoughts as far as initially, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I have Tyler Shook number one. He was a runner-up and Rookie of the Year, and he only played half the season last season.
I said
Terrell
Shook.
McMillan won Rookie of the Year, and Tyler Shook was right behind him at number two. So when you look at the way he played at the end of the season, the Saints went on a 4-game winning streak, and now when you look at the personnel that the Saints are going to have around him now, it's going to be a lot better than what he had with getting Jordan Tyson. Obviously, you still got Juwan Johnson in the tight end position. You got Oscar Delp now. I mean, you loaded up at the wide receiver position. That last game of the season against the Falcons, man, we had Gary Schaefer playing wide receiver. And, I mean, that was just pathetic. That was probably the worst set
and
of
he
wide
dominated.
Obviously I'm talking about the Saints here, so it's going to sound like I'm being biased. But if I can be as objective as possible, with all the new weapons, then average Travis Etienne to go with Elvin Kamara in the backfield, you got to think that they really put a lot of offensive weapons around him to have huge success in his second season. Number two for me would be Jackson Dart, right? He also showed flashes at one point in the season. His was more early to mid-season, and Tyler Shook was more toward the end of the season, right? And but Jackson Dart, getting a healthy Cam Scatterboo, getting a healthy Malik Neighbors back, I think will also have him there as well. Like, Cam Ward, even though he was the number one pick in the draft, out of those three, Shook and Ward actually went head-to-head, and Shook outplayed him. In last season, right? But out of those three, Ward probably had the least productive of a rookie season, right? So we'll see what happens this year. I mean, they've also worked to put some more weapons around him as well. But I have Ward number three. Number four for me is Shedeur Sanders. All the indications are he's having a really good offseason. Now, we don't know if he's going to start yet or not,
That's
right?
the thing. We have no clue.
They're still giving Deshaun Watson it looks like every opportunity to win that job in Cleveland. And that's why I have the Shedeur at number four. Then I have Quinn Ewers at number five. He played at the end of the season. He actually put up some decent numbers. Not great, but decent
Malik
numbers.
Willis is there.
And it doesn't, it doesn't look like he's going to be a starter with Malik Willis. But if I had to rank 5 QBs as sophomore QBs going into their second year, that's how I would rank them.
Well, I wouldn't put Sanders and I wouldn't put Ewers on there because they're not going to. They may not play.
Yeah.
With any luck, those teams are thinking about different guys. But when you're talking about Dart and you're talking about your boy from New Orleans, who I think had the most success, that's when you want to win. You want to win always, but when you're at the end of that season and you put that stretch together of 4 games where you won 4 games like that, and and if you look at his percentage, he threw for 67.6% of his completions, where Ward was 59.
Nice.
And 17 games, you have to, and he played 17 games. I think of all of those, I think Ward had the least productive season of the guys that I talked about. Dart, Tyler, how do you say his last name?
Shook. Yeah.
Tyler Shook.
I butchered it. Yeah, but
and Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward had the worst of the seasons of those guys, of what I saw anyway.
But you saw some talent, I think, Gary, with him, with Cam Ward. I think it was a tough situation as far as getting his coach getting fired.
Right, and I understand that, and that's why he's on this list right here.
Yeah,
that's, for me, it's benefit of the doubt. He, with the situation that he had, in Tennessee. Let's see how he does.
Yeah.
With the OC, Brian DeBall. Let's see how he.
Brian Dable. Yep. Yeah.
Let's see how he does there. I think that's a good move. And also, New Orleans, Tyler's going to have I think he's going to have a good season because, he's got a head coach that's offensive minded and proven
more.
And his second year with him too.
Yeah. So I think that he'll put him in a good situation, and I think that New Orleans will be competitive in their division.
And, Ward, I think that's another reason, and like I said, I know I'm probably going to sound biased as a Saints fan, but, Ward and Dart are going to have new offensive coordinators, where Moore is going to the second year. I'm sorry, Shook is going to the second year with the same offensive, coaches as well, too. So I think that continuity is going to help him.
And then as far as Dart, I hope he sucks.
Yeah. Hey,
nothing against you personally.
Hold on, Harbaugh. Do you hear what Harbaugh? You saw that video. He was like, I'm guaranteed we're gonna beat the Cowboys. You saw that video, right? You saw that? Did you see that? I was like, oh, I gotta send it to you, Gary. I was cracking up when I saw that. I was like, oh, Gary's gonna get a kick out of that. So he's gonna guarantee I'm gonna beat the Cowboys. That was hilarious. So
everybody gets up for the Cowboys, so it wouldn't surprise me.
They're ready. Let's keep this moving here. Some NFL teams that need to get off to a great start. I'm going to take the Rob Ford route and be a little biased for my home team. I hope my Falcons get off to a good start, because I think we have missed the playoffs for the past 8 years. We don't want to keep doing this. We got to start out strong. Whoever our quarterback is, whether it's Penix or Tua, man. I know we're going to play the Aaron Rodgers, whatever, ageless wonder Pittsburgh Steelers. I know Richards isn't on the call today, but we got to get out to a fast start, man, just to build our confidence, man. So
that's who y'all played in the first game, the Steelers.
We played the Steelers, yeah, yes, sir.
Wow, isn't that the same? Yeah, didn't y'all open the season with them last year too?
We did. Whenever Kirk Cousins' old ass was playing. Yep. Absolutely.
One of the teams that's not on my list, but they should.
Oh, that was 2 years ago. Okay, yeah.
That should be on my list under this topic is Cincinnati, because they typically start off slow and then come on at the end of the season.
Yeah, you nailed it.
That's a team, especially with that offense. They got to come out and fire and get some wins.
Yeah, they simply start off slow.
They're a team that is scary.
Yeah,
I've got the Ravens.
Yeah,
new head coach. They added the beast from Cincinnati on defense, Trey Henderson. So that's going to give them some help on the defensive side. But, Lamar Jackson, at some point he's got to, move it forward, get to that next big step, that next big level. Colts are another team.
Yeah, well, I mean, Colts have a lot to do.
But the Colts started off fast last year. They ended weak.
Yeah, because they had the injuries and whatnot too. So that's going to be a whole.
Right.
We'll talk about that.
The Colts are, and if they don't, especially losing at the end of the season,
Well, the Colts didn't have a contingency plan, unfortunately, Gary. Once you kind of lost, you were just cruising with Daniel Jones, and that injury was pretty huge. Anthony Richardson wasn't ready, so they have a lot of questions from that too. And we'll talk about them a little later too, as far as.
And the big one is Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, yeah, same.
Losing the last 7 out of the 8 games.
I can care less about Tampa Bay. Sorry.
Well,
I care less about them too.
I know they are a team though that, for our listeners that are in there, they better get off to a better start.
Yeah.
And then
you're spot on with the Bengals. I had them number 1 on my list because they've started slow here probably for the last 3 years, and they make these runs at the end of the season and they come up short, right? We saw 2 years ago they won their last 5 games.
Yeah.
And they finished like 9-8 and missed the playoffs, right? So I think they need to stay healthy and get off to a quicker start. I'll tell you another team that kind of started slow last year, finished the year strong, was Houston, the Texans. And they need to see some improvement out of CJ Stroud here at the beginning of the season, and their team needs to get off to a good start. Even the Cowboys, right? The Cowboys struggled at the beginning of the year last year. They played a lot better at the end of the season. And I think the Cowboys has a chance to win that NFC East this year. I really do. I think the Eagles may take a step back. So it's an opportunity for them. I think they need to start the year fast. they made some improvements on their football team. And, I'm talking about my Saints, too. Obviously, we were a young team at the quarterback last year. We started off slow, didn't get going until late in the season. I think their team, and they start off with 2 tough road games at the Lions and at Baltimore. And so I kind of feel like the Saints got to get off to a good start. I think they got to find a way to win at least one of those games on the road to build some momentum into the season. Another one is the 49ers, right? I think they were another team that kind of started slow last year, picked up momentum as the season went along. And so those are the 5 teams for me that kind of come to mind.
And another one for me is the Steelers. I don't think they made the right choice, especially for long-term head coaching solutions in Mike McCarthy. And now Mike McCarthy is going to be working with Mr. Drama, Aaron Rodgers. I think it's just it's gonna be fun to watch.
The only thing if you're a Steelers fan is that Aaron Rodgers does know the Mike McCarthy offense inside and out, so it's a good fit when you talk about that. It was better than what the hell Arthur Smith was running, so at least they have a good understanding as far as on the offensive side. So but again,
Rob, you know how we did our teams, in this. I didn't just do our teams. I just wrote down all of the NFC East. Because whoever gets out to the fastest start may end up with the division.
Yeah, I like I said, you're talking about teams that traditionally started slow. You're like, hey, like I said, you can put your team in there because you don't want to start like 0-3 or 0-4 because that's going to be disastrous. Obviously it's a long season, but you want to get some momentum coming out the gate. And, I'm sure everyone has that feeling for their squad for sure. We're going to move it on to Rob. Just kind of name a couple of top players in next year's NFL draft, and we'll keep this moving here.
Yeah. I'll just go and I will be posting this Talking Sports with the 12th man page. I haven't posted yet. Number 1, I still have Arch Manning. I know he bit me in the ass last year. We had him number 1. He started off really slow. And he really came off, on at the end of the season, though, with his production. So I expect him to have a really good senior season. Number 2 is Dante Moore, right? He could have been in the top 5 in this year's draft if he would have came out. So I expect Oregon. I got Oregon as the favorite to win the Big Ten this year, even over Ohio State. I got Ohio State number 2.
And over Indiana. Okay.
Yeah, and over Indiana. I got Oregon as the favorite in the Big Ten this season. When you look at the big time players that they have coming back this year, Oregon. They got Junglier coming back. They got Amari Washington coming back. They got Dante Moore back. They got some big time players that would have possibly been first rounds in this past draft, right? Jeremiah Smith have him going number 3, wide receiver from Ohio State. I think he's the best player in the draft, but we know quarterbacks will rise and probably go ahead of him. But I got Jeremiah Smith number 3. Colin Simmons, the best defensive player in the draft, edge rusher from Texas. Number 4. Keywan Lacey, running back, Ole Miss. I have him number 5. I think his versatility will probably have him in the same range as Jeremiah Love was in this year's draft as well. Leonard Moore, who I really like, big-time prospect corner out of Notre Dame. I have him at number 6. Trevor Gooseby is another one, offensive tackle from Texas. I think he would have been a first rounder in this year's draft if he would have came out, right? Dylan Stewart, edge rusher from South Carolina at number 8. Kingston Villamu Asa, linebacker from Notre Dame. I have him number 9. I think Notre Dame's going to have a hell of a defense this coming season. And Marcus Freeman is a heck of a defensive coach, too. And then Cam Coleman, wide receiver from Texas. I think he'll be the second best wide receiver in the draft. And then a few other names I got in the top 20. Jordan Seaton, big offensive tackle from LSU. I have him at number 11. LSU's paying him $4 million this year. Carter Smith, offensive tackle from Indiana. I have him with 13 overall. He could have been a second-round pick if he came out this year. Comes back to school another year, gets some deal money. I think he'll be a first-round pick in next year's draft. C.J. Carr, Lloyd Carr's grandson, quarterback Notre Dame. I have him at number 14. Mateo Ugunglier, Edge rusher from Oregon, I have him at number 17. And Julian Sain, quarterback, Ohio State, with his accuracy, I have him at number 18. And I'll stop there for some big-time prospects in next year's NFL draft.
I just got a text from Richard. He said he's doing the grandpa thing.
Oh, good.
Hello to you gentlemen.
Appreciate that. All good.
Enjoy your time with family, Richard.
There it is. Appreciate that. Nice. Anything to add to that, Gary? Top players?
No.
I definitely like Dante Moore, man. I'm curious to see the season, man. It's gonna be a good season. I'm gonna briefly talk about some big decisions for the Colts. Colts extended Daniel Jones a 2-year, $88 million contract, $60 million guaranteed. But now they have to think about some 2 stars that are going to be up for contracts. Quentin Nelson, the outstanding guard, and Jonathan Taylor. Now, Jonathan Taylor, obviously, there's been some amazing stuff on. Ooh, what's happening in the background over there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me mute my microphone.
I heard some stuff. I just heard some stuff. You're good, Rob. Sounded like you were playing with the Legos or something, man. But I guess if Taylor had a breakout season, and he always has had a good season. Excuse me. Whenever they lost Daniel Jones and they kept stacking the box, he still was kind of making, still getting good yardage. But the thing is, he's probably the person you may be able to franchise tag, and you have to figure out what's going to happen with Quentin Nelson if you want to sign him, because obviously you're looking at what's happening as far as I want to say a couple people who Tyler Linderbaum got a nice little bonus, so we're going to see what happens as far as getting those extensions. And Tyler Smith had like a $27 million a year deal, something crazy like that. So we'll see how this plays out. It's crazy that the Colts swung big and had to say, hey, Phillip Rivers, come back. And I'm still going to figure out. They still have Riley Leonard and they still have Anthony Richardson. I thought he was going to be traded, but they still have to figure out the quarterback position. So, but right now, Daniel Jones is slated to come back from his injury. So those are some big decisions they have to figure out.
Yeah, you touched on, the big one is the offensive lineman and Jonathan Taylor. And if you're the coach, you got to find a way to keep both of those guys in the fold. I think the AFC South is a 3-team race between the Jaguars, Texans, and the Colts. I'm picking Texans right now to win that division. Yep. Obviously, Jacksonville lost Etienne. But if the Colts are healthy, they're in that running, right? And they got to stay healthy. I think they need another year of progression out of Daniel Jones. I think we saw some good stuff out of him before the injury last season, right? And they have some players on defense too, right?
Yeah.
So I think they're right there in the mix. But I do like the Texans as of right now to win that division.
They went all in getting Sauce Gardner and making all those trades and whatnot too. So you have to like what they've been able to do. And Lato, the edge rusher. So, like you said, the Colts, man, they thought they had a shot, which is why they're like, hey, Phillip Rivers, can you come back and at least salvage something? Yeah, big time stuff. Top 5 QBs of all time. Gary, you want to add your thoughts to this, man?
Yeah. To the top 5 quarterbacks, Danny White.
Of all time, man. NFL history, man. Come on.
Get out of here.
Danny White, Roger Staubach.
Well, I wouldn't put Roger Staubach in the top 5.
I'm messing with you.
I definitely have Roger Staubach in the top 10. But anyway, that's for a different time. Right now, I have Tom Brady.
Oh my God.
Gary, I know you got a Tom Brady jersey, huh?
Joe Montana.
Yeah.
I've got Patrick Mahomes at 3.
Yeah, he's on the 4th one on this one.
And I've got Peyton Manning.
Yep, he's on this one
and
too.
And then I've got John Elway.
There was somebody, if you look statistically, whenever you do AI, guys, it said that statistically, Otto Graham is the 5th one on there. The Cleveland Browns.
Otto Graham was a heck of a player.
He said dominated his era by leading the Cleveland Browns to championship games every season he played and holding the highest winning percentage of history at .814%, which is nuts. So for all you Cleveland fans, that's statistically, but I would like like you said, Dan Marino, is he up there as far as just what he did? Johnny Unitas, John Elway. There's a couple of interesting, situations as far as those quarterbacks.
John Elway, the reason why
I like that
him so high is there were times when he put that Denver team on his back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And brought them to the championship. Now they lost, but to even get them there, especially going through, they went through some really tough. They had some epic battles.
Yeah.
With Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean, they really.
Ernest Biner, the back and stuff like that. But Marty Schottenheimer back in the day. Was that Schottenheimer that used to coach the Browns back in the day?
Yeah.
Was Bernie Kosar the quarterback? Vinny Testaverde?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
I mean, they really did. They battled, and I put John Elway because he was just that quarterback that could put a team on his back. Finally, they get a team around him, good running game, and all this stuff, and then he wins two at the end of his career, which is great for him. That's why I put him at 5.
Nice.
I don't put Marino there. Marino had arguably one of the top 2 or 3 coaches of all time.
Well, come on, man. You got to show him some love. Show him some love, man. Come on.
And so I would put him at 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. I'm just giving, like I said, you got to have good coaching, man. Good coaching is gonna like you say the same thing about Belichick, but then was it Brady? Was it Belichick? Belichick, who knows,
Yeah. Well, I think we all got Tom Brady number 1. You talk about 7 Super Bowl victories, 207 regular season victories. It's hard for anybody to match that. And then he played. Not only that, he played at a high level for a long time. I mean, he played into his mid-40s. It's almost like what LeBron is doing in basketball right now, right? So, that's what he was able to do, and also the longevity of his career. Got Joe Montana, number 2. Didn't have the strongest arm, but it's just accuracy, and he was just a winner, right? And he was clutch as well, right? So I got Joe Montana there and all the Super Bowl victories. Peyton Manning just put up historical kind of regular season numbers, right? I know he's only got 2 Super Bowl wins, but regular season numbers, man, he's just put up some monster kind of numbers. And his accuracy and his arm talent was really good. I got Johnny Unitas number 4, man. He was probably one of the quarterbacks that had really stretched the vertical passing game. With the Baltimore Colts when he came in the league in the 50s, right? And he did it all the way into the 70s as well. And then number 5, y'all know who I'm going to say. Drew
Brees. I knew you were going to do this, man. Come on, man.
Drew Brees. When you look at Drew Brees, man, 74,000 passing yards. And look, I don't think the Saints did Drew Brees justice. He had a lot of years where the Saints just didn't have any kind of defense, right? I know you only got 1 Super Bowl. You could talk about the one where they got the bad no call, didn't make it to another Super Bowl. But I don't think the Saints did him any justice with some of those years where the Saints just had no kind of defense to compete. And but when you look at his stats and the number of touchdown passes he has, he's a second all time in touchdown pass, and then the yardage he's thrown for was 74,000. That's tough to beat.
That's incredible. And Drew Brees was one of those guys that he kept you guys relevant. He kept you guys in the playoffs, in games, big games, and he was clutch.
Yep.
I'll give him that. As far as Peyton Manning goes, Peyton Manning was, can you imagine Peyton Manning in just in an era outside of who knows how many he would have got outside of he was in the Brady era.
Omaha.
You take him out of the Brady area, he probably would have 4 or 5 himself.
It's true. He had his nemesis. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to hold off on the college football expansion because this is a deeper topic here for sure. But I do want to talk about some really quick things. We got to get to the NBA mock draft that's coming up and some options for that. Conference updates. Rob, I'm going to show you some love because whenever the LSU added Ed Orgeron, I was just thinking, man, that's going to be one of the most entertaining coaching staffs in history right there, man. That dude is hilarious,
Yeah.
man. So I
Yeah.
was just going to say a little note, man. So just want to show you some love for that. That's hilarious. And good for recruiting, man. I mean, just he's at LSU. You know, he wanted to get away from his wife. You know, I got to get back to work. But kind of do his thing.
But
man.
LSU's got one of the wildest athletic departments in the country right now. When you talk about Lane Kiffin and Ed Orgeron on that coaching staff, and then you got Will Wade at LSU right now. Some of the stuff that he's doing, they've got the wildest athletic department in the country, and the athletic department is spending money out of the wazoo. I mean, their football program has spent $42 or $44 million on players this upcoming season. Now, look, I know that's like number 3 or number 4 in the country. There's a few programs that are spending more than that. And Will Wade in the basketball programs, they're going out signing players who's already played pro ball. I mean, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
What?
And how is college athletics? So they got 5 guys that they've signed on a basketball program that's either already temporarily played in the NBA or some kind of pro ball overseas, and LSU is trying to get a waiver for those guys. Now, look, I'm an LSU fan, but I don't agree with that. Once you play pro ball, you should not be allowed to play in college. I'm sorry. And I know LSU is not the only program. Illinois got some Eastern Europeans on their team that's played pro ball overseas. Arizona's had some players. So, I mean, LSU's not the first program that's doing this. There's some other programs that have gotten waivers for it, but I just don't agree with it. I think once you play pro ball, you shouldn't be allowed to play in college.
That's fair.
Adding Origin to how do you say his name? Origin?
Ed Orgeron. Now, look, I think it's a great hire for LSU.
Well, adding him, at least he'll be able to show Kiffin what a national championship ring looks like. And
there you go.
Yep.
Smart move.
You may not see one other than that.
That's hilarious.
Ed Orgeron walks into any high school in the state of Louisiana. Those guys are going to listen. He's got that kind of cachet in Louisiana, right? And you know,
probably in the South.
Yeah, but especially Louisiana. And so, from a recruiting standpoint, I think that's a huge win. Ed Orgeron is a really good defensive line coach as well. So I think it was a good hire, and it's good that LSU was willing to do that. You know, especially after they fired him as a head coach. But I think this is a good move. Lane Kiffin and Ed Orgeron has worked together before.
Yep.
You know, they were on Pete Carroll's staff in USC.
Yep.
So they've worked together before as well. So they have a friendship and a relationship.
So they've done their fair of cheating.
So what?
They've done their fair share of cheating, huh?
Well, you know what NIL stands for now. Now it's legal.
Now it's legal. There you go.
There you go.
All right, Rob. We got to move. We're not too far away from the NBA draft here, so let's talk about some mock draft. And obviously, we'll circle back because I do want to talk about a couple things as far as Kyrie, where LeBron's going to play, who's going to replace Jason Kidd, and we'll see if we can circle back around to getting some NBA prospects just return to college. But there's been a ton of mock drafts out there. The combine was just wrapping up, and I'm having a fierce battle with with Marcy's dad because he's like, you see the way that Wemby played? Y'all need a big guy. The Hawks need a big guy like that. Eddie Mara is not going to be there at number 8. Y'all got to trade up. And I'm like, Dad, what assets do we have? So we're going back and forth. I made a bet with him for like 4 donuts, man, to make sure that he's going to be there.
Because where the donuts from? That's important.
Well, it's just a random thing because there's this good shop right up the street. But it's just funny, right? Because obviously we know the top 4 is set, right? It's just obviously AJ's going first. It depends on the kind of order. I'm thinking AJ, Peterson, Boozer, and Wilson. That's kind of unless something changes. Now after the 5th, through 10, that's where we're going to have a lot of interesting moves and stuff like that for sure. So
there's no Wemby in this draft.
There is no Wemby in this draft. That is 100% sure.
Wemby is just a freak. That guy
He's probably a once in a lifetime prospect. What he's able to do at 7'5".
Watching him pull up from 30 feet out for a 3.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of shots
that can shoot.
Yeah. That's just what we're talking about.
Me, what really is impressive is for him to go in, miss a shot, collect it on the other side, and tap his own miss in consistently.
You got to step on his toes to stop him from getting rebounds, man. So,
Yeah. But he can still. Yeah, the guy is just—he's just a freak. He's a generational talent.
Yeah, and look, that game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, that was an instant classic. I mean, that's a game, that could be rewatched 1,000 times, right? That was just an instant classic in that game, in game 1, too. I think that's going to be a heavyweight fight at Spurs Thunder series. I still think it's going to go 7 games. I could be wrong. We'll see. But I think that's a 7-game series between. I want to see the Spurs win, but I'm still picking the Thunder. And the only reason I'm still picking the Thunder is just because I'm worried about the Spurs and their ball handling. They got to get Fox and Harper back. And the Thunder, they just create extra possessions with forcing turnovers. And especially if they get a healthy Jalen Williams.
Who's that little bald guy on OKC? What's his name?
Caruso.
You know what? That guy has been playing clutch.
Yep. That's one of the dumbest mistakes the Lakers ever made, letting him go.
Yeah, that guy. Wow. I saw him play with the Lakers, and I really didn't think that much of him.
Well, he helped. He had a big role on the Lakers winning that championship in the bubble in 2020. So he played a major role on that team, especially offensively. So, getting to the draft, and Andre, you said it already. DeBanza, Peterson, Boozer, Wilson. That's who I have going in the top 4. I got a little bit of a surprise. Number 5, I got Braden Burries from Arizona. All indications are he's had impressive camps, right? And can really shoot the basketball, can play the 1 or 2. So I moved him up, and he's got good size too, about 6'5", 6'6". You get a guy like that can shoot it, and he can play the 1 as well as far as ball handling is concerned. I got Darius Acuff Jr., number 6, right now. I got Keaton Wagler, number 7, to Sacramento. And Wagler and Burries are similar players, right? They can play, they're a combo guard. They can play 1 or 2. They both can shoot it. I know I see a lot of mocks where Dave Mara going number 8 to the Hawks. I still just don't know if I could justify that. I got Kingston Flemings going number 8. And Kingston Flemings has been outstanding in the camps, too. He's been shooting the rock. He's a good athlete at the point. Probably still has some work to do defensively. But man, he's a tremendous prospect, and that would be hard for me to pass up. Dave Maurer, you kind of know who he is at this point in his career. He's 21, 22, 23 years old. I think Kingston Fleming is still an ascending player, right? And so I would be very careful if I'm the Hawks reaching for a player because you need size. And so I like the idea of Kingston Flemings right there for the Hawks at 8. I got Dallas taking Mikael Brown Jr. at number 9. And I got Milwaukee taking Nate Ament, who I think is a very versatile player, 6'10", can play the 3, can play the 4. He's a good shot blocker, off-the-ball shot blocker too, right? And then the Atlanta Hawks' second pick at 23, I got him taking Core Pete from Arizona, physical player. He's only about 6'8", but, man, he's physical, can rebound the basketball, step out and shoot it. Can be an enforcer kind of player for you as well. The Blazers don't have a pick in this draft at all. And then when you look at Atlanta in the second round at 57, I got them taking Richie Saunders, who I think is a good shooter out of BYU. He can also play the 1 and 2, the kind of guy that will eventually be a role player coming off the bench that you can use more in the Sam Merrill kind of role, just come off the bench and be a shooter. And I got my pals at 58 taking Lamar Wilkerson, point guard from Indiana.
Yeah, Rob, I appreciate. I mean, this is interesting because I don't necessarily think I know what you're talking about as far as you don't want to reach for certain players. And I'm sorry to bring this up, Gary. Whenever you're like, "Hey, does Michael Jordan play? We need a center. Does Michael Jordan play center? Play Michael Jordan center." Whenever. I mean, we're not, having that type of talent. So It does. If they have some other options as far as free agency, that's whenever I think they'll go opposite. My guy, if there's a Walker Kessler, I don't think OKC is going to get rid of Isaiah Hartenstein. I don't think that's going to happen. The Blazers have like 10 centers. I don't know what's happening with that, so they're going to hold on to the market with centers. But I don't really know who's out there. Unless there's a Walker Kessler. Unless you trade for that, right? So this is why
DeAndre Ayton screwed him so bad. They say we're gonna sign a bunch of them. Make sure we get at least one.
They got to get it right. They got it. So that's why I'm not sure if it's a reach, Rob, in this instance. But I hear you, right? I mean, if there's two players I like, and I'm nervous about Cole Pete, man, because again, I get the physicality, but we got Aston Newell. We got it. Kind of feels like Billy Knob keep getting these 6'8" guys, man, and we're like, you got to have some girth, if you will, too, man. So that's why I don't know who else is out there.
I'm not nervous about him at 23. I would be nervous about him at 14, 15.
Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Mara. Oh well, I get you, but I'm talking about Mara. I'm talking about like a 7'3". Looking at the way Wemby's playing, you need somebody just at least kind of like have some fear to play. We need like a rim protector. That's what we thought Kristaps Porzingis was going to be. He was 7'3", but that's a different conversation. So we'll look at that. If they have other plans as far as free agency or trades, that's kind of where I'm curious. That's why I don't mind making that pick because, we need size, man. I don't know where you're going to get it, man. So that's kind of where
Wemby's the perfect center for this time, how we play basketball now.
Understood. Yeah. Yeah. But another guy that I like. Yeah. Go ahead. It's just crazy.
Well, because he can shoot the three, because he's so good inside. They're bumping.
He's versatile.
But they're not beating him up like they would if, like, let's say he was in Shaq's era.
Yeah.
Where he's going to try and stop a guy like Shaquille O'Neal who could dunk on someone that was 7 foot and 280 pounds,
Different.
But, it was just a different type of basketball. In this era, this guy, man.
There's not any Robert Harrisons, the Phil Cartwrights, or like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's. They're not.
Where do you find a guy like that? So you're Atlanta. You need a center.
Like
they're looking. They got to be looking overseas. They got to be looking everywhere for something that can be that, not that good, but at least that type of a player.
You got Robin Williams.
Are there any out there, Rob?
Robin Williams III is supposedly he's injured, so we got to figure out that. I know Mitchell Robinson's a free agent. I'm not sure about him. Like I said, Hartenstein, OKC's got to probably re-sign him. They got to figure out that. Do you trade for Gobert? I don't know if you want that. So you got all these different situations that you're having. Walker Kessler. So Rob, that's kind of where I'm listening to you because I'm like, well, it's a reach, but you do need size. And then, for that, another guy that I would love, he's not going to be there at 23. I would, probably trade my left nut. I like Cam Carr, man. I think that guy is going to be a player, man. So there's a way we can kind of secure him too as well somehow.
Yep.
That would be a success. If I would trade like my 23rd, 57th, Zach Ricochet, a future to OKC to get that next pick. And I'm like, hey, man, what you want, man? Because I think Cam Carr is going to be a player, man. That's a guy.
Yeah.
If we came out with those two guys, I'd be happy. If we couldn't pull Cam Carr, I do like Christian Anderson from Texas Tech. He may not last that long from 23, but I think he's a great shooter too. Or Bennett Sturts, if you kind of come back around. But again, that's kind of where I know you're like nervous about the size and its reach, but now it's kind of like the future kind of who else is out there? Like,
how many draft picks does OKC have in the next
30? They got 30 over the next it's something crazy, man.
Yeah. And look, OKC has got 3 picks in the top 40 in this draft, right? And there's some rumors out there that they may want to trade up into the top 10.
Yeah, they were trying to look at the Hawks for the 8th pick. They're talking about trading their 11th, the 16th and the 37th pick to us. And we're like, I thought about it. I'm like, I don't know. If Mara's there, I don't know. But
but it's going to be interesting. I think Cam Carr, to your point, I think his stock is rising.
Yes.
And I got him going 16 right now, so he may not be there at 23.
Yeah, he's not going to be there. Cam Carr is not going to be there at 23. Understood. So that's why
Christian Anderson will be there. I think I got him going 28 overall. Christian Anderson, a guard out of Texas Tech. So, and Bennett Sturts, I think he'll be there too. I have him going 25 to the Lakers right now. Right. So I think he'll be available. at 23. There's some other big men that will be available possibly for Atlanta at 23. And I think a guy to watch is Terrence Reed Jr. from UConn, right? I think his stock is, prior to this season, he didn't even look like he was going to get drafted, but now he's in that first round conversation. I have him going 21 to Detroit, just a couple of picks ahead of Atlanta. So he's another guy to watch.
How tall is he, Rob?
He's 6'10". He's only 6'10". Now he's got I think he had like a 7'2" wingspan or something like that.
Yeah.
So
and a 40-inch vertical.
He had it was a 30,
he don't have that
35.
Kind of
it was like a 30-something inch vertical. But
30-something inch vertical on a guy that's 6'10" with a 7'2" wingspan is,
Oh, that's good. No,
that's good. It's good.
He's a big body too. He takes up a lot of space in the paint. So he may not be 7 feet, but he's also one of these guys that's just a big body. At worst, can be a Hartenstein kind of player, I think, in the NBA, right? He can be a guy that can bring you a physical presence. He's not going to be a guy that's going to come in and average 20 points a game, but I think he can be a guy that comes in, get you 8 to 10 points, get you about 10 rebounds, get you a couple of block shots a game. I think he can have a physical presence on your team, right? But even a Dave Maurer, I don't look at him as a guy that's going to come in the league and average over 20 points a game.
We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that.
Yeah,
we don't need that.
Yeah.
We need to stop defense, get some rebounds. He's got he can go left or right.
You're picking a guy number 8 overall. You want him to have a little bit bigger impact than that. That's what I'm saying, and that's why I don't know if I would draft for Dave Maurer at number 8.
I would.
Because
what's our option?
If he's going number 8, I'm going 17 and 10 tonight. And I don't know if he's a 17 and 10 kind of guy. I look at him as more of a 12 and 9 or 12 and 10 kind of guy. In the prime of his career. Now he might be that. He might prove me wrong, right? But he seems like a guy that's going to be a 12 and 10, not a 17 and 10 kind of guy.
When he went up against Terrence Reed, he kind of handled Terrence Reed. That was a surprise. That was a good showing for him because I think earlier in the year he was kind of like, is this guy gonna do some, do the 7-3, and then whenever he played up, that was a good game for him. He got better as the season went on. Really good passing, big man. Again, right now we don't need him to kind of come in and just be a superstar right now because you got Jalen, you got Dyson. We got a good young squad. So you need somebody to come in, be a rim protector. Aneka's great, man, but again, he can't withstand getting beat up playing all these fives right now, man. So I don't think it's a good look, man. So I get it. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah. Check this out, Dre.
Yo.
The national championship game, UConn against Michigan.
Yep.
Obviously, Michigan won the game, national champs.
Yeah.
Dave Maurer, 8 points, 4 rebounds. Right?
Mm-hmm.
1 block shot, 1 steal. You want to hear Terrence Reed's stat?
Tell me.
13 points, 14 rebounds.
How many blocks?
No blocks. He had 1 steal.
Yeah. I mean, like I said,
look at his stat line versus Dave Maurer, and they went head to head, and he outplayed Maurer in the national championship game. But yet, you want to take Maurer number 8 overall.
I mean, I need some size, man. I don't know what to tell you, man.
All I'm saying is don't reach. I don't want you to,
I'll get it. Like I said, like in a perfect world, maybe
I don't want you to have another Sam Bowie versus Michael Jordan.
It's not gonna be that.
Well, you guys were talking about that, and stop.
You said stop.
Stop.
I'm nervous.
Well, you get a guy like Bobby Knight coming in, flew into Portland to talk to Stu Inman and saying it, telling him, well, we've got Clyde Drexler. Then play him at center. We need a center.
Yeah.
Then play Jordan at center. But do not pass on this guy. And for them to ignore that is just the most incredibly stupid thing
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
He took the time to fly out there.
Again, we don't have this. We don't have the number second pick.
But
yeah,
this is what you guys need to do. I'm telling you.
We don't have the second pick, in that instance, Gary. So again, I kind of see your thoughts too. Now, granted, there's a lot of guard play that we're talking about. We need a point guard at some point too. It's gonna be tough for a young guard to come in and kind of make an impact too. So again, you gotta look at both sides. We better not get Isaiah Evans, man. I don't want any more shooting guards from Duke after AJ Griffin. That was a disaster.
Jalen Johnson has been a heck of a player for y'all.
You know what? He's a power forward, different offensive. But I'm saying shooting guard. I don't want that unless your name is Michael Jordan. But that whole other conversation. But again, I digress, man. We'll see how that plays out. Cam Carr, man. There's got to be a way, man. If we got him at 8, I would be mad at that either. Let's go. But again,
too high for him at 8.
Doesn't matter. Get your guy, man. Get your guy. Get your guy, man. Get your guy, Hawks. Let's do. Who should go back to college, Rob?
Oh yeah. I had this. Let me go to my notes here. I had it pulled up here.
I did get to ask Gary where you think Kyrie's going to, and then all the fun stuff. This is going to be good, and then what's happening, Jason Kidd? Yeah, keep going there. Go ahead, Rob. Do your point real quick.
I talked about Cole Pete, but I think Cole Pete is a guy that if he goes back to school, could be a top 10 pick in next year's draft, right? So I have him in the 20s right now. I mentioned he's at number 23 to the Hawks.
Yeah.
Some people have got him in the teens, but I got him in the 20s. To me, he's a guy, if he goes back, he can be a top 10 pick in next year's draft. Amari Allen from Alabama, he's a fringe player. He could be late first or second round. I think he could be secured in the first round if he comes back. Same with Tyler Tanner, point guard out of Vanderbilt, right?
He's short, man. He's short, man.
But I think another year of school could probably solidify him into the first round. A guy I really like if he comes back to school is Tande Yesefu at Baylor, right?
Yeah.
To me, a really good athlete. And I think another year of seasoning, he could really be a top 15 pick in next year's draft, right? So he's another guy. Malik Thomas from Arkansas. Man, if he comes back to Arkansas, look out. Arkansas is going to be loaded, man. They got probably the best recruiting class in the country coming in on next season. If he and Billy Richmond go back to school, look out for Arkansas on next season. Milan Marjanovic, who's probably the best shooter in college basketball last year at Iowa State. I have him on the fringe, too, as a late first or second round pick. He's another guy. He's probably not going to go back to Iowa State if he goes back to school. I think Kentucky is the favorite, with North Carolina possibly being in the mix as well. So, and Malachi Marino, 7-footer from Michigan, he definitely should go back to school. He's no way he's going in the first round. I have him in the 40s in this draft. So he definitely should be going back to school. So those are the guys that I think could improve their draft stock if they stay another year.
Really quickly, Gary, my last point, Rob, it's tough, right? Because whenever you see how defensively you're getting destroyed, that's why I'm scared for all these offensive players. So, again, that's why, you're great offensively. You got to play some defense, man. You don't want to be abused. That's where – doesn't matter how great James Harden is if you're getting your ass handed to you, man. So, again, you got to have a little – chops on defense, man. So that's why I get nervous whenever, because we've already been through the small guard with Trey. I mean, the defensive liability. We've already seen that. That's why we have a little PTSD. I mean, and I like Trey. I mean, I was a fan, but just defensively, it's always tough to overcome that. So we're kind of built differently now, I would say.
Yeah.
Let's do this, Gary. What do you think about Kyrie? Yeah, where's he going? Keep an eye on Minnesota. Keep an eye on Minnesota, because Ant-Man was like, "Yo,
I agree."
He was like, "Man,
Minnesota would be."
And they're talking about how Randall and DiFrancesco's contracts kind of match if you want to make a trade. So that's interesting to see. And obviously there's new things happening in Dallas with Jason Kidd being let go, and what is it, Masai, getting the new job there. So it's a young team, right? So he probably wants to kind of get rid of the older players, kind of build fresh and start young with Cooper and everything like that too. So out with the old, in with the new, as I say. So keep an eye on Minnesota, man. I think that's an interesting spot for Kyrie.
Yeah, I like Minnesota. I think two other teams to look out for is Miami and Houston. Right?
Houston for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't see Houston. I didn't see Miami on there, Rob.
Yeah.
I saw a note
You
about
never count out
Pittsburgh.
Pat Riley.
That's true.
No.
I saw a note about Pistons. I'm like, I don't know about that one because they got Cade. So, but they need some offense for sure. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that. But
well, I think a player to watch for the Pistons is Devin Booker. I think they're gonna try to see what they can do to get him out of Phoenix.
Interesting.
Pair him. The Pistons need another scorer desperately, right?
Understood.
And but yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Kyrie and Cade, two primary ball handlers, if you want to have that, right? So yeah, I don't see. But to me, it's Minnesota, Miami, and Houston, in my opinion.
Now let me ask the question. This is a weird question, right? If Harden had another year, right? If he was okay, would he be with the Pistons defense? Would he be a good fit in the Pistons, like because that offensive side and kind of have a solid defense, or is that kind of like a stretch? You think?
Man, I wouldn't touch James Harden. I think Max.
I wouldn't
Kellerman
touch him either, but I'm saying he's an offensive player. That's all I'm just saying, right? I get he's.
I get what you're saying. The defense that has been established there already.
Yeah.
So you bring in an
They need an
offensive
offensive.
weapon
Yeah.
to help you out, and maybe their defense can kind of adjust to his inequities on that side of the ball, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So I can see a team doing something like that if they want a 20-point scorer in there that can,
Devin Booker's a better look for sure, but I'm just saying I don't think unless Booker
Devin Booker would be great.
I mean, if he just demands a trade, I don't know if he wants to get out. Phoenix, man, you give me your left nut, your mama, your dad, everything. Forget that, But I just don't know how Phoenix lets him go unless he's just that miserable. If you will, Rob. But I was just thinking, like, Harden. This dude is getting wreck of seas, man. He may be, how sensitive he is. He may be like, I'm out, Cleveland.
Yep. Well, I think Max Kellerman said it best about James Harden. Did y'all hear what he said?
What did he say?
Max Kellerman says, if bringing James Harden to your team with the expectation of winning a championship is equivalent if you think Donald Trump can turn this country around.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Oh, wow.
We went there.
That's some bad. That's a.
We went there. We went there. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's Max Kellerman.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I know we try to stay away from politics, but Max Kellerman said,
wow.
Yeah. Here's his exact words. Bringing in James Harden to win a championship is like electing Donald Trump to fix your country.
I did remember seeing that now. Wow. Gary, what you got, my guy?
Okay. Wow. I want to know where LeBron's going to go.
I was looking this up. There's the sentiment part of Cleveland kind of ending there.
That was about the only thing that I thought of.
I do know he does want to play with Steph Curry. I just don't know if that's enough, if you will. But the sentimental side of that going back to Cleveland, the Lakers, they're probably just saying this. Oh, we want him back, but I don't think he's going back to the Lakers. But obviously, I think Cleveland is probably has.
You think Steph Curry wants to play with him?
They've always wanted to play together. They played together on the dream team and everything like that, on the Olympic teams.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw what they did in the Olympics. I mean, the two of them, probably the oldest two guys on the team, carried them to the gold medal a few years ago.
So that's
but no, I think y'all are spot on. I think it's the Lakers, Cleveland, Golden State, or retirement. And but if LeBron is smart, I mean, look, you've accomplished you've got 4 championships. You've got I don't know how many MVPs, 4 or 5. He was Finals MVP in all 40 years you won a championship, right? And if you're smart, at this point in your career, look, LeBron can still contribute as we saw in the playoffs. Is he going to go out and score 40, 50 points? He's not that guy anymore, right? But can he be a guy that gets you over 20-something points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists? He can still be that guy for you, right? That can have that kind of contribution. And if he wants to win another title, man, I would – it's easy for me to say. I'm not in his shoes. He's a billionaire. I would take a pay cut and try to go to a team that has the money or the cachet to go out and get some other players around him to win a title, right? But if he goes into this season with asking for a $50 million deal, he's not going to win a championship. But if he wants to end his career with a championship, I would take a mid-level exception. You're already a billionaire, then try to get that team to get some more pieces around you, and you'll have a chance to compete, right?
And that team is?
It's got to be Lakers, Cleveland, or Golden State, in my opinion, or he retires. And
okay, neither one of those teams are going to be able to compete with the Spurs or OKC. In my opinion,
the Clippers. They're like the Clippers.
Cleveland, though.
They're like the Clip. Now Cleveland, that's an interesting squad because you're already there. If you like,
okay,
let's say for shits and giggles, right? Again, if you're Dallas, you know where I'm going with this, Rob, Gary. You're Dallas, like, hey, Kyrie pair back up with. I know they got Donovan Mitchell. I'm just saying, let's just go out one more time. That's an interesting look, man. I would, Dallas, like, yo, let's kind of like make some. But I don't know.
If Dallas would have kept Anthony Davis, I could see LeBron being in play to go there. To be honest with you,
you're right.
Go with Kyrie and AD, but I think since they traded AD, I don't think he'll be in play to go there.
Yeah, he's not there anymore. It's just interesting to see how the dynamics, man. But like I said,
that would be a hell of a team.
Gary, you're right. But see, Gary, the thing that I worry about is like, even if you go to like, Golden State, you have these old squads, like, like you're like the Clippers, right? The Clippers went all in. We're gonna have our old team. They're like, some youngsters are kind of run up and down the court on them, So it's just kind of
whatever the bad mistake is, the Clippers will make.
That's true. That is true. So, and this thing is, they got the fifth pick, man. So so they have to figure out something. So I'm hoping that they kind of mess it up too. Like, they don't, if they get they kind of screw it up too. But we'll see. Hey, we're gonna wrap this up, Rob, Gary. I do want to ask this last question though. Before we're gonna say the college football expansion. That's a pretty intense topic, I would say too, because I want to give a good synopsis as far as what's happening, the expansion, everything, the ramifications. Unless we're gonna wrap that up in 15 minutes, but I am curious if OKC wants to trade, right, the 12th, 17th, and 37th pick to the Hawks, would that be a good move? And I would try to get another pick next year, but they must be targeting somebody in that top 10 range. I'm wondering.
Yeah, and you have to. To me, if they're trying to trade with the Hawks, they either going for one of those guards or Dave Maurer. And when you look at their roster, their big three right now is Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams when he's healthy, and SGA. Do they feel like they have a legitimate floor general? And that's when you can target maybe a Kingston Flemings or Mikael Brown Jr. or Keaton Wagler, somewhere in that ballpark, right? And to me, you would have to be targeting one of those three players if you wanted to get a true floor general. Because right now they don't. I mean, Peyton Wallace is probably their best pure point guard, and he's probably more suited to come off the bench than be a starter, right? So if they're looking for a true floor general, they have some really good potential talent there. Or maybe they like the Hawks and they're targeting Dave Maurer, right? And just in case they don't get to keep Hartenstein, right? So if you OKC, you got investments in three big-time players, right? You got investments in SGA, you got investments in Jalen Williams, and you got investments in Chet Holmgren, right? So if you continue to use all these draft picks to fill in the center position and to fill in the point guard position and to fill into your depth, right? You keep using your draft picks there, so you don't have to spend a lot of money on any other players besides your big three, right? So that could be in play there. I would think, to me, the point guards have the better value there. Dave Maurer is more valued at where they're currently picking at number 12.
I understand. Like I said, I hear you. Like I said, my thing is like you got to get it big somewhere, either in free agency or you got to do something, And right now OKC is throwing up money. Like they got more than enough draft picks. They don't need like all these players, And they keep who's this AJ Mitchell guy? Like, man, they keep getting these players. Like, man, who the hell is this dude, man? They keep getting players. You're like, who is this Mitchell dude, man? Like, where did he come from? So they just keep finding like these amazing players. So kudos to Presley. So
Now, you got to give them credit too for their in-house development, right? A lot of times you got to grow from within.
Same. So if they make that, I'm sure that 12. I would sacrifice Mara for Carr if we get Cam Carr. I'm a fan of him, and I can get Terrace Reed, maybe Jaden Quintus, from if you kind of like, and then you still got 23rd pick. You're kind of a little stronger, so I'm cool with that. If I can get Carr at number 12, that'd be a good pick for me. If you were kind of making that move, I would sacrifice Mara, but you better be strong you got to find somebody to because Aneka can't keep playing the 5, man. I'm just saying. I'm sorry to dominate conversation, but that's where I'm at, man. I don't know if they're gonna.
Richard just texted me, and it has nothing to do with this.
That's fine.
He just texted me.
Yeah.
It's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade bands. Just kill me now, Gary.
Wow. Have fun with that one, man. All right, guys. Anything else? Any last topic you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
No, I'm good. We can do an update on the.
You mentioned the college football expansion. I'll just give my thoughts on that really quick. It looks like the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Big 12 are all in agreement of the 2014 playoffs, which means the top 8 seeds will get a bye week.
Yep.
And then the bottom 16 teams will play in the first round. So we'll be adding 2 rounds to the playoffs there. The SEC is the only Power 4 school that's totally not in agreement with it, right? So surprisingly, the SEC obviously have some meetings coming up in Destin, Florida here, I believe next week or a week or so away. Everybody's waiting on the SEC to kind of join the party on the 2014, and they're kind of divided where the other 3 conferences are all in unison that they want 2014. And why, right?
Everyone gets in there.
Each of these conferences is going to have more teams that make it to the playoffs, more teams have a chance to go to the party. I like a 16-team playoff. That's where I'm at. I think 24 is too many. And they're 12 right now. I don't mind them adding 4 more teams, the same amount of, you'll still have 4 rounds. But now you go to 24 teams. You got 5 rounds of playoff football, right? That's a lot.
You start a week earlier in August to get the you can play 5 more rounds to get through early January. It starts to feel like an NFL schedule at this juncture. Now you got more games. So what I was reading, it looks like the playoff committee simply picks the 24 best teams in the country, right? So winning your conference doesn't guarantee anything, right? That's kind of the challenge with that. And then the top 8 teams get a rest in the bye week. And the teams ranked 9 through 24 play each other for each first round, right?
Yep.
So, again, you kind of lose the pageantry of like a Rose Bowl or that's the thing that I think everyone's upset about. Like you don't get like those special games and everything like that. But, there's a lot of things in it. I guess what some people are also talking about is like you'll get these lopsided mismatches. You'll have, blowouts. Like, if you get like a certain squad that plays and now this team is getting blown out 56-3, which Florida State experienced that, obviously. But it's just there's no guarantee, but it does open up the,
it opens it up for more teams.
For more teams, if you're like Florida State, like you're mad or you didn't get in, right? Notre Dame's
football's not like basketball.
That's what they said.
You're not going to have that Cinderella team going in and beating up on a LSU or whoever, Oregon or Miami. They're not going to do it. It's not going to happen.
They said that it kind of rewards mediocrity, so they kind of hate that. That's what.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I'm at 16. It's 24, man. That's a lot.
But you got to think about it. It's money. Everyone's like, hey.
So they're going to increase it. And if it kind of sounds like if they've got 3 of the major conferences going for it, at some point, probably Southeastern Conference is going to say, okay.
Yeah. And the SEC is on board with expansion, but their number is 16. Everybody else's number is 24.
Yeah.
I mean, they're saying that, elite teams could lose 3 to 4 games and kind of coast through November and still get into the playoffs, so it doesn't really, it's still like unfair for certain squads. And then what if there's like a 9-3 team that gets a shot at the national championship or something crazy like that? They're going to hate that, right?
And that could very well happen in your power conferences where you have a team that loses 3 games.
Yeah.
That is in the national championship. That could absolutely happen.
I don't know. So it just kind of feels like, they're kind of getting these, and then they're talking about, is there enough recovery time, in between the offseason to recover for the NFL? So there's a lot of questions on both sides, Rob. If you extend the season, now you have, we're already getting played like in NIL stuff, but now do I extend those players that have been injured longer and then going to the NFL even more beat up, So it's a lot of back and forth. And I agree with you. Kind of 16 is kind of a sweet spot. Maybe 24 is kind of too much. Hopefully they can agree on that for sure, man, because that's a lot of games.
Yep.
I kind of like it how it is right now myself.
I'm with it's fine.
I didn't even want to increase it to 16.
That's tough.
Yeah, but it sounds like the increasing is inevitable.
Yeah.
It's all about money, man. You know how that makes that you know how that goes around. All right, let's wrap this up, man. As always, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to another great edition with Talking Sports for the 12th Man. We're going to be back at y'all next week on Wednesday night. We don't know what time yet, so stay tuned. We'll keep you posted on what time we're going to be on next Wednesday night. We want to hear from y'all all over the country, all over the globe. Tune in next week, Wednesday night. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Duke, thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, shout out to the Braves.
Most
wins. Yeah, most wins, and he likes the Knicks like you, Rob, looks like in the Hurricanes tonight for the NHL. Yeah,
I think the Hurricanes win the East and the NHL too. They're playing some great hockey right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you got some topics going there, didn't you?
Las Vegas Golden Knights took Game 1 against the Avalanche, so let's see. Hopefully, they can make it to the Stanley Cup Finals too.
There it is. It'll be late. Have to be late on Wednesday, guys. I hope stuff. So just
Richard, I hope you're enjoying your 6th, 7th, and 8th grade band, whatever it is.
Richard would much rather be watching us right now.
Yeah.
So sounds like we're going to be on at 11 p.m. Eastern time on next Wednesday night. So there it is. We do have a time, 11 p.m. Eastern. For those of y'all in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, that's going to be 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for you guys.
All right, gentlemen. Have a great evening, man.
Night.